Welcome to the BEASTwriter Family, where social media engagement is encouraged. I am your host, Ryan Sakamoto, and today we have the honor and privilege of having Mike Yam of NFL Network on our BEASTwriter Family show for Mahalo Mondays. Mike, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for joining us today.
Absolute pleasure, man. I love the Mahalo deal. I feel like whenever you can sprinkle in a little bit of the Hawaii vibe, I'm a huge fan of that. I don't know if you're a coffee drinker or not, because it looks like you take care of your body pretty good and don't miss too many workouts. But I just experienced Kai coffee for the first time. Just absolutely amazing. I know everyone talks about like Kona coffee, which I candidly haven't had, so I can't compare. But the Kai coffee was truly one of the best coffee experiences I had. So it brings me into just a good positive vibe when I hear Mahalo.
That's what's up. I haven't tried that. Now I'm going to. I'm actually a big fan of Lion Coffee. Have you heard of Lion Coffee before?
No. Although, to be fair, I am a loyal subscriber to Stumptown Coffee out of Portland. So, it sounds like I'm cheating on them going down the Kai coffee direction, but whatever. I don't want to get in trouble with those guys, but definitely love Stumptown for sure. But I'll try yours as well.
Yeah, you got to try everything, man. You got to try everything. For those who don't know Mike Yam, you guys know who he is, but for those who don't, he anchored at ESPN, worked for NBATV. He was a staple at the Pac-12 network, and now he's on NFL Network. Mike, can you just talk to us basically how you got started and breaking into the sports media world coming out of Fordham University?
Yeah. A big FU, Fordham University, that is, to everyone. No, it was kind of crazy, Ryan. Like, I grew up and I wanted to be a pediatrician. Like my entire life, I didn't think, I didn't even realize that sports and a job in this industry was even possible. So just kind of crazy for me for that perspective. But I got to Fordham, and then after a semester of doing biology, I realized, and chemistry really specifically, because I love bio, chem was kind of kicking my butt a little bit. And I couldn't handle, I did well in school. So this idea of needing a curve to really help me pass was not something that I was mentally prepared for when I got to Fordham. I ended up pivoting. I ended up getting a job, or working on campus at the radio station at WFUV. And, I think back to that time, right? Like, they say, what's that ultimate phrase? Like the youth is wasted on the young. I don't think I realized how good I had it when I was in college. And even those first few years after school. But when I was at Fordham, I got to cover the Knicks. I was a huge basketball fan. The Mets were my team growing up. We had media credentials. I got to go to the US Open and just all these like ridiculously fun events. I got to cover World Series. I mean, it was awesome. And then, what happens, senior year, you start freaking out that you're not going to have a job. And I'm seeing all my friends who are working in finance, and they got a job, they haven't even graduated yet. So I was freaking out, man. And I'm sending out my tape everywhere, or my CD, because it literally was a CD that I would put into the mail at a lot of random stations. And sure enough, man, I ended up getting hired by a small station in New Jersey. So I didn't have to move. I worked there for 2 weeks covering high school football, and then I quit. And the reason why I quit, and I love telling this story, because it's all about relationships. And Ryan, you get this, man, because you've been in the business long enough to know. I was back at homecoming, and anyone who loved their college experience knows, like homecoming, the first year after you graduate, like that is, dude, you're not missing that. Like you could be on your deathbed and you'll figure out a way to get back to campus. And I'll never forget, I was in the parking lot and we were tailgating, and randomly there was a buddy of mine who was a few years older than me at Fordham, and he had the credential for the Mets. So it was basically you became like the Mets beat reporter. So he had the credential before I took over the team, and he was great. And he was working at Sirius Radio at the time on the music side, but also on the sports side. And candidly, I'll tell you, I mean, we're playing beer pong in the parking lot and winning, because that's what we did when we were at school. But no, we're having some fun. He's like, hey, what are you doing? And I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm working at the small station in New Jersey, not too far from where I grew up. He said, hey, get me your stuff. I was like, all right, cool. So, then a couple days later, I send him my stuff. He gets it to the EP. They bring me in for an interview, and they basically said, look, like you can come and do overnight updates for us on Fridays. I'm like, done, let's do it. So I had to quit. the high school football gig at the small station in Jersey. Fast forward, that turns into 5 years at Sirius Radio. I got to do, an all NBA show with Kenny Smith. I got to do the Phil Jackson show for a season when he was there. I did an all sports show. I mean, it was an unbelievable experience. And then just more opportunities came up, whether it was NBA TV, where I got to spend a bunch of years, ESPN Radio, and then an opportunity came full time on the television side, Ryan, at ESPN. Moved up to Connecticut, 4 years there, last 9 or so at Pac-12 Network, which was an amazing experience. It didn't end the way that I was hoping for by any stretch. It didn't end in a good way, to be honest with you, but it's all worked out great. I love the new home that I have at NFL Network and some of the other stuff that I still get to do, whether it's Sirius XM Radio or Intel Sports. So I've been lucky, man. I always tell Ryan, people like, I don't know how many broadcasters that there are that are out there that I would say are luckier than I've been in my career.
Luck is one thing, and luck falls into place when you put in that work ethic too, right? So you actually put in the work ethic at the same time. And it's funny, you talk about NBA TV. It brings back to my high school days when I played high school basketball. That's all I watched was NBA TV. NBA TV was, if I'm not mistaken, that's when NFL Network, they were like the two, right? They were mirroring. It wasn't NBA TV before NFL Network.
NBA TV was the first of all the major sports to have their own deal. And it's funny, NBA TV, when I worked there, was owned by the league. So it was based in Secaucus, New Jersey. I think anyone who watches now, they're probably not familiar, but I remember when moved staff and moved the studios down to Atlanta, which is where they are right now. But dude, I'm with you, man. Like, I was a huge NBA guy growing up. I was playing fantasy. I don't know if you remember this, Ryan, on NBA.com, there was a real GM.
Yes, function. I remember that. Yes.
So dude, it was like the race to get Antoine Walker because of like all the threes that he would bomb away and position status, to get threes, from a power forward who had that eligibility. You could slot him in 3 different forward spots. But the point is, like, had I not done fantasy sports, I never would have gotten the job there, Ryan, because I ended up getting hired because I understood fantasy sports and how to play. Wow. It is just like wild to me, just kind of how things had fallen into place. So if I wasn't a dork, basically in 8th grade and like in high school playing all this fantasy stuff, who knows, man? I might not be talking to you right now.
No, I think it's great. People who don't know or don't understand fantasy, it's a good way just to learn about the game that you're watching. You have to stay on top of not just your favorite team, not just your favorite players, but the rest of the league. Because in order for you to have a fighting chance at the end of the year, you're going to have to know those hidden gems, those diamonds in the rough. So fantasy football literally forces your hand in knowing all 32 NFL teams. And that's what we try to do here in the BEASTwriter Families. Again, we cover all 32 NFL teams. You have all 32 different fan bases. So I don't know. Would you agree that fantasy football, fantasy basketball, whatever the sport may be, it broadens your horizons and gives you a better knowledge of the overall game and appreciation of it?
Yeah, it was huge, man. Just even to understand personnel and knowing who was doing what, keeping up with trends. I mean, think about this, right? I don't get the job at NBA TV without that. My first real big opportunities in radio to do ESPN radio nationally.
Right.
A lot of it was because I understood fantasy sports. So I got to go and do some of that stuff. It was honestly, it was huge because you're literally keeping tabs on everything that's happening in the league and understanding, like, even if you draft one dude on a team that you normally wouldn't follow, you at least know what the hell he's doing and what the end result in terms of his team. Because God forbid, you imagine, right? Like, you need like 3 points and you're starting like some random tight end on a Monday night game and you're sitting there just like, yo, man, it's PPR league. Let's just get 3 receptions. We're good to go. And then whatever yards I get after, I'm going to win this week. So I couldn't agree with you more on that front.
Yeah. Fantasy football, so much fun. Let's go ahead.
Can I cut you off? Hold on. You got comments coming through. Monica, Mike Yam has some good hair. Oh my God, you are my hero. Thank you so much. Do you know how much salt has been like creeping into the pepper lately? Like, you just made my week. I appreciate that. Here we go.
It's all about good vibes here in the BEASTwriter family. No, your hair. I don't have hair, bro. I'm bald, bro. So you're ahead of the game.
I'm just hoping it stays, man. The power alleys, it goes back a little bit further than I'd like. So
it's all fun and games here. I love it. I love this casual vibe. Let's go ahead and break down barriers. All right. That's the next topic. Obviously, you're an Asian American. I'm an Asian American. I can't speak for anyone else. I can't speak for you or anyone else, but I can only speak for myself. breaking into the NFL media was one of the most difficult things I have to endure in my lifetime or during my lifespan, because of the fact that you're breaking barriers. You're one of the first to ever do it. And in the Asian culture, it's one of those things where, okay, you're one of the few, you have to make us proud. That's the undue pressure that, my parents put onto me, even though they say they don't do it. You know how they are.
That's subtle.
Yes. And here we are today.
Sometimes
now it's like,
subtle.
oh, I knew you could do it. But at the time, it's like, you sure you want to do this? You don't want to be a lawyer? You want to be a doctor? Things like that. You understand where we're coming from. For you, what was your story? Tell us your story. And you're still breaking barriers. Me and you both are still breaking barriers, but you're on a larger platform. Being at NFL Network, what kind of obstacles did you have to overcome internally and externally?
Ron, I'm going to ask you this question. Did you feel like, at least early on, I don't want to get too personal because I don't know how old you are. I'm 30.
I'm 37 years old.
Oh, okay. So we're kind of in the same age range. So I'm 39, you're 37. I wasn't aware earlier in my career. I knew that there weren't a lot of Asian Americans that were in the newsrooms that I was working in. I understood that. I mean, you just kind of look around and that's blatantly obvious. What I didn't understand though was some of the subtleties around it. And I think as I've gotten a little bit older and see less and less representation on the sports side, and certainly on the news side, right? Because I watch news like everyone else. It's been disappointing. And I think, I don't know if you remember at AJA, but, we have these conversations a lot of times about the pipeline and who's next. And, this past year, man, has sucked for a lot of people because of COVID-19 and, losing their jobs. And I was one of those. My contract wasn't renewed. And that was really hard because I hadn't had it bad professionally. And I think that was a little bit of a rude awakening for me. And I've had to lean on relationships and try to find work. And, I needed, pep talks like everyone else and someone to tell me, yo, it's gonna be okay. You'll find work and it'll be okay. You don't have to freak out. I did still freak out, but there was all these things that sort of had popped up. And I think the one thing that I've been aware of the last few years, and I think it was really eye-opening for me when I got hired at Pac-12 Network, the previous management that was there, not the one that's there right now, but the ones who had hired me, it wasn't lost on me that they were giving the keys to the car to someone who looked like me. Because I think if you look around sports television, in the role that I had at Pac-12 Network, there's just not a lot of Asian Americans in some of those spots. So I did feel like, hey, I gotta deliver, right? You can't suck. I didn't want to suck just for obvious reasons, but I also just kind of wanted to make sure that people were aware, this was a path. Because Ryan, I didn't know, I know it sounds stupid, but when I was a kid, I didn't understand, these were actual jobs. I watched games, right? You watch games. I don't know what happened to you and what turned for you. And I played, but it never occurred to me oh, I can be a broadcaster. And then I saw Michael Kim on television at ESPN and I'm like, damn, that dude looks okay. This is a thing, and I think it takes moments like that. And there's these subtle things that happen, I think, over the course of our lives that resonate and have some sort of effect on us long-term. So for me, Ryan, it's always been hey, how do we get more representation? How do we make sure that there's some people, that can tell stories about different segments of the population that have experienced, different things that quite frankly, other people haven't experienced. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's why diversity matters in terms of that representation on air.
Yeah, diversity does matter. And again, I'm with you 110%. The Asian Americans are not there's just not many of us in the NFL media, sports media in general. And the few that are, it's whoa, it's almost like seeing a ghost, to be honest with you. Yeah. There's some times when I walk in a room and I just feel all eyes are on me. You're not supposed to be here up in the, there are times up in the press box, people, who are you? Literally be stopped. But then it's yo, I've been here for 4 years. What's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe it's because the way I dress. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I'm not a suit and tie guy. Yeah. I like this. I mean, I'll come to work, yes, in jeans on game day and in jeans and, dress casual, so to speak. And it was okay. It worked. But when you see a kid, people view me as a kid, shaved head, tattoos everywhere, buff, big, whatever the case may be, Asian, they're going to stereotype you in a way where you don't have to say anything to know what they're thinking.
Yeah.
And I felt that a lot. I mean, as much as people say they don't do it, they do it. I mean, people judge all the time. Just like in the NFL, when it comes to scouting a player, oh, this guy doesn't have 33-inch arms, so he's only going to be an interior guard. He can't be an offensive tackle because he doesn't have the arm length. Certain teams will take a player off the board just because of the way he stands or the way he looks. It's very well true, and not too many people want to talk about it, but it is true. That's the common truth of the matter of the situation is we all, at some point, we all do it. I'm guilty of doing it. You're guilty. Yeah. We all have a first perception of something, and once we get accustomed to doing or acting a certain way or looking or viewing things a certain way, it's hard for us to retrain that line of thinking. Does that make sense?
100%. 100%. I mean, I think the example you give in terms of scouting is a really accurate one. I mean, look, we just had the NFL draft. I was fortunate enough for NFL Network to be at the pro days at Stanford and at Washington. I mean, think about that experience, Ryan. Like, that's literally dudes wearing boxer briefs, prancing around. I mean, it's how much of it is the eye test, right? Or the speed and the measurables and things that they do. I can't even tell you, and I'm guilty of it too. Like, that guy just looks the part. How many times have we used that phrase? Because that exists, I think, in that world. And you're 100% right. Like, I think people walk into a room and, subconsciously, whether we want to recognize it or not, like, we come up with some sort of narrative in our head. I would imagine most people do it. I know sometimes that certainly pops up and creeps into my head, but it's definitely something that I've experienced in the past. And I actually think that Ryan just popped off, which is, I don't think he did that on purpose. He froze. I feel like we should just start taking questions and comments from some people as I wait for Ryan to get back onto the line. Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Sorry about that.
No, I was just making
audio issues. It was my fault. My internet crashed out, dude. So I apologize. Look how professional it is here at BEASTwriter Family. Sorry for cutting off. No, it's all good. Let's touch base. We kind of cut out where you said you made a point. Like, I made a good point as opposed to the NFL Combine with the arm length. No,
100%. So I was saying, for NFL Network, I was at Stanford and UW's Pro Day, and those, the pro days, the combine, like, that's literally dudes wearing boxer briefs, prancing around. And it's all about the measurables, right? Like, you mentioned the arm length. It's like, what's this guy do in terms of the 40? How many times have we used the phrase like, hey, that guy looks the part? I mean, hell, I did a hit, and it was Joe Tryon, who ended up sneaking into the first round at Washington. Mm-hmm. I think I even said in one of my hits, like, the dude looks like a Greek god. I mean, I physically just look the part, but it goes to exactly what you're saying, which is you walk in a room and you see someone and you think like, hey, they can do X, Y, or Z just because of the way that they look.
Yeah. And it's really something that I think we're all guilty of. GMs are guilty of it. A lot of scouts are guilty of it because they look at the height, weight, speed, and they say they can convert that. The passing the eye. I mean, literally, if I was to step on the NFL field right now, I would get a 10 out of 10 with scouts. I have the physique. I'm very symmetrical. Yeah. If you want to test my arms, that's fine. I don't have the longest arms, but aside from that, everything else checks out from an eye candy standpoint. That's what scouts look at. That's why you see, right? When we see people have their shirts off, and you do work out. Don't lie. I see your guns, bro. I know you work out. I was going to ask you that. You do, right?
Well, because you're in the Bay Area, so are you Barry's boot camp guy? Like, I'm addicted to it. That's like my church. Now, I don't have. I'm telling you right now, no one wants to see me with my shirt off. That I can assure you. But I would crush it on the sidelines, water boy, clipboard holder. Like, I got you on that front. So no, I'm totally with you. But you're right. Like, dude, like, you step out onto the field, it's kind of like Taylor Rapp, right? Like, Taylor Rapp's a guy I got to know when he was at Washington. We used to have this conversation all the time when he was in Seattle. We did a piece on this. The guys don't look like him. He would step out onto the field. Let me add, and Ryan, maybe it was a little different for you because physically, like, you look different, but I would imagine there's, I don't know how many listeners or viewers you have that are Asian Americans that would sit there and probably empathize with this story. The amount of times you step out onto the field or there's a draft and people don't think you can play. And it used to piss me off so much to the point where it was like, when I was a kid, I would work so much hard. Like it would fuel me. Like I would be so angry and I wanted to be one of the best players on the field. I'm like, dude, just why am I getting picked on the bottom half? You know, and I look at, even then we get to a point where, you know, you get a little bit older and the growth spurt, which I'm still waiting for, never happens. And then you understand some of that stuff, but there was always a will, there was always a want. And then for a few years I was able to play and compete. And then, you know, physically everyone just kind of jumped me a little bit. So,
you know, I'm with you on the height. Trent Baalke called me vertically challenged. He said dynamite. He's like, Ryan, dynamite comes in small in all shapes and sizes. And I was like, okay, thanks. He's like, but you're vertically challenged. I'll never forget that. Great stories with that guy. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Obviously, you are a pioneer with the Asian American community. Let's touch base on that and continue on. I hate to say it, but, you know, Eugene Chung had a story that came out. He said he wasn't the right minority for a job when interviewing for an NFL coaching vacancy. How does that strike you as an Asian American, and what steps are being in place to ensure those types of comments or those types of, I don't even know the word, that this doesn't happen?
Yeah. You know, I think it fuels into this narrative that we have heard basically our entire lives, right? I mean, just that it's, you know, the model minority myth, I think is really what resonates the most when I hear a story like that. It almost sugarcoats any of the negative experiences that we have faced over the course of our lives. And look, I don't want to come at this like, woe is me, I'm an Asian American, I've been discriminated against. I think there's a lot of people, no matter your ethnicity, that have had to deal with a lot of challenges. So like, I don't want to say like, and once again, Ryan, like I've had it so good in my life that there are instances where I have felt out of place and where I felt judged. Like there's no doubt. And I'm not trying to say like, you know, it's happened and it sucked and I understand that feeling. But for someone to say like, you're not the right minority is a problem, man, because I think it really, it belittles some of the negative things that have happened in, you know, certain demographics' life. And in this case with Eugene Chung, that was obviously being an Asian American. You don't think Eugene Chung has had those experiences on the field where he's been called names? I mean, Jeremy Lin's been on record to talk about some of the things that he's heard while he was playing. You don't think Eugene heard some of those things? Why is that less hurtful or not as hurtful as some of the things that other minorities have to face? Like that's BS. Like that's just not accurate. And then taking it a step further, him being judged. Hell, even in that moment, he's being judged, right? Like, so there's a lot of that stuff. It's such a negative feeling around it, Ryan. And it's honestly, it's heartbreaking to hear stories like this that have continued to pop up. And in some ways, I think Eugene handled it perfectly. It sheds a light on a problem and he doesn't put anyone on blast. He doesn't say like, hey, this team, this person made this comment. They know that they did it. And I think in his world, it's, I'm going to let you know, like, this is not right. And it also amplifies voices for the Asian American community that just don't exist. So I'm glad that he handled it the way that he did. Right.
Yeah. He didn't want to call anyone out or throw anyone under the bus. He just wanted, like you said, bring it to light to know that it is an issue and it's a very serious issue and we're not going to stand for it. You know, it's just, there's no place for it. No matter what race you are, no matter if you're Asian, Black, Hispanic, there is no place for racism in the NFL, period. And if you're going to be and have that stance, well, you shouldn't be, you know, an NFL owner. You shouldn't be in management positions. You shouldn't. The list goes on and on and on. There's just no place for it in the NFL.
By the way, can I just add one other thing?
Yes.
Jeremy Lin did the same exact thing that Eugene Chung did, which is say, this is my experience. This happened on the floor. Someone said this. I'm not going to tell you who said it because that's not important. Like, especially in the world of like cancel culture, which I think goes to an extreme sometimes. I think once again, those guys do it with such class where they're trying to shed a light on a problem.
It's hard and you got to give them credit because I got to tell you, if it was me and someone said that to me, I'm just being honest with you. I wouldn't stand for it. I would say something. It would be hard for me to hold my tongue back because I mean, I don't know your family background. You're part Chinese, correct?
Yeah. So my dad is Chinese. He was born in Hong Kong, and
Okay.
my mom is Italian.
Oh, you're Hapa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't. So if your family's originally from Hong Kong, did they immigrated over here? Did they immigrate into Chinatown in San Francisco? Because that's
No,
where you are
no.
right now, right?
Yeah. So I live in San Francisco.
Okay.
So I moved out here for Pac-12 Network. So I had left the East
Ah.
Coast, but my
Okay.
whole family, everyone's in the Northeast.
Okay.
It's kind of a crazy situation. I wrote about it a little over a year ago. It was actually right before COVID. Ryan, COVID-19 has dominated the headlines, and understandably for a while. But previous to that section, there was a few months and really a year plus or so where immigration was a major topic in the news. And I don't know how much or how closely you were following this, Ryan, but there was a lot of separation happening in this country between parents and their children. And it was heartbreaking to see it, man. Like it was bothering me. I'm watching this news, and there wasn't a compassionate conversation happening around it. It was, they don't belong here. They're not following the rule, all the negative things. Now, when you're talking about like a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old kid, like what are you talking about? Like what issue? Like it's not their fault. And now you're separating from their parents. So to me, it was heartbreaking to see that. And I ended up writing about my own family's immigration story. So my dad was in Hong Kong, but my grandfather had basically gotten a job as a sailor, knowing that the ship was coming to the United States. It's docked in Baltimore. And, at that time, sailors were able to kind of, take a look at, the city and experience it. And then they were expected at a certain time to be back on the boat, and they were going to leave. My grandfather never got back on the boat. So he was an undocumented person in the United States for a significant period of time, but he had worked to get a lawyer, got his green card, and then over a few years was able to save enough money to bring over my grandmother, my dad, my uncle, and my aunt. So they all moved to New York. And it was, look, man, it was tough. Like even I remember when I was in high school, my dad would show me, I went to school in New York City. I used to work in Midtown, but my dad would show me the area down in Lower Manhattan. They had a 1-bedroom apartment. It was the whole group, and like I would hear stories like that. And there was one time in particular, Ryan, like I was hanging out with my friends. Like I'm a 22-year-old kid, just got a job. I'm in New York City. My old roommates from college, we're all going out in New York all the time. I used to go, there was like a bar and a club like 2 blocks away from where my dad was, when he was 16, 17 years old. Like that's where he was. And he did not have the lifestyle that I had. Like I can assure you, when he was 21, 22, he wasn't, at the bar like I was hanging out there. So to me, it was to write about a conversation that really lacked a whole lot of compassion. And I think, I don't want to tell people how to think. That's just not, but at least just kind of consider someone else's experience. Like there was poverty. It was, not a good situation for them. And they just wanted a better life. And I think a lot of people, not to make this a political conversation, because I know you cover the NFL. We're supposed to be talking sports here, but I think a lot of it, in my mind, I just hope people consider some of the situations and the desperate situations people are in, and how lucky and fortunate we are in this country.
No, we can talk about anything here. I don't care. I really don't. No, honestly, because this is what the BEASTwriter family is about. It's getting to know the people behind the people on TV. You know what I'm saying? Like we can talk about football any day. You talk about that. You talk about that in our sleep.
Yeah,
we do. Let's talk about
some weird dreams.
Yeah, me too. Like having you on the show. Oh my gosh. No. So Yammer, let's go ahead and move on though. Let's hit on football.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Jimmy Garoppolo being the week 1 starter. Now, I've been told he's going to be the week 1 starter. It's not even a question until something bad happens, like he gets injured or he has a horrible preseason, which I don't see that happening because this team is on the rise. They're on the verge of being, I would say, Super Bowl contender, borderline Super Bowl contender based on the defense if everyone can stay healthy.
100%.
What is your take on Jimmy Garoppolo being the quarterback of the 49ers, and what are you hearing, and what are your thoughts there?
I love it. I think it makes total sense. I think when you hear the conversations and the things that have been said from John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, there's a reason why they drafted Trey Lance. And it's not because Jimmy G can't play. It's because Jimmy G hasn't been able to stay healthy. And the amount of issue that has caused this team in terms of wins and losses. So Jimmy G is healthy right now. So he should be the week 1 starter. I think that there is a lot around what Trey Lance can do that's different than Jimmy Garoppolo, but let's call a spade here, man. Like, you're going to throw this dude out there, hasn't played basically football in about a year or so against NFL talent. Like, I don't think that would be a wise move. So I'm all for Jimmy Garoppolo being the starting quarterback in week number 1. Ryan, to me, the biggest question is, when does that transition take place? And if Jimmy's healthy the entire season, and I'm with you 100%, this is a borderline Super Bowl contending team. They were the walking wounded last year. This team is healthy heading into this upcoming season. If they make a run, can you imagine they get to the Super Bowl? How do you transition from Jimmy G that following season? Like, that to me is a really hard conversation to have. And can you imagine they go and win a Super Bowl and then you get rid of Jimmy G and you can't do that. So I think down the line, there's some real hard conversations that are going to have to take place. But I think John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan know that is 1000% a great problem to have. But I don't think they drafted Trey Lance not knowing that they have some sort of answer to a situation like that.
Right. Let's talk about Trey Lance for a second. This is my thinking behind Trey Lance. You hit on the nail in terms of exactly the maturation process that a young quarterback from the FCS needs to translate not only to the FBS level, but at the NFL level. Talk about the speed of the NFL game and the learning curve that will take Trey Lance some time, because obviously people are talking about it. Oh my gosh, his accuracy is good, or he's been inaccurate, or vice versa. And I tell guys, hey, the pads aren't even on yet. I don't, to be honest with you, whenever I go to practice, I don't even pay attention to what's going on. I hate to say it, but I look at NFL players and I really scout them once the pads come on, because they're a totally different ball game once the pads come on. Trey Lance, to me, has some growing to do. Now, people say he can read defenses, but again, he's going against FCS competition. He's not going against the Bama defenses. And yes, he can read a defense, but again, it all depends on that strong safety. You can mirror coverage how you see fit. You can have an inverted coverage over the top. So these things you don't really see in FCS level. Can you explain to the viewers here exactly what that means in terms of the maturation process of the speed of the NFL, and then obviously the defensive IQ that you need to have in order to convert those progressions at the NFL level? Yeah,
it's funny because as you were talking, and I'm doing this on my personal computer, so I'm actually flipping through looking for some of the notes that I used during draft week to sort of illustrate some of the things that you are talking about. I have so many notes here that it might be even hard for me to go and find them. And the one stat in particular that I was looking for. But I'll say this, the guys that played the position before, they will tell you, and I was fortunate enough to talk to a couple of those guys. So you mentioned speed of the game. There was a conversation, you and I both know, if it was Mac Jones, I felt like San Francisco. When was the last time San Francisco was that fired up for something sports related? One. And then number two, it wasn't even reality, right? Like, it didn't even happen. And there was such this like visceral negative reaction towards Mac Jones. But I talked to Matt Leinart, who I used to work with at Pac-12 Network. And Matty's done a great job, obviously, for FS1 covering college football. And I had said to him specifically about, the guys that were in the mix, right? Justin Fields, Trey Lance, and obviously Mac Jones. And what I found fascinating was he felt like Mac Jones had the best understanding of defenses of every quarterback in the draft, which also obviously included Trevor Lawrence. He said, from that perspective, that he just understood where blitzes were coming from better than everyone else, which makes me think to the conversation that I had with Ronnie Lott. And Ronnie felt like being at Alabama and having Nick Saban there is certainly like a huge feather in his cap, but B, also understanding that there's NFL dudes on the other side of the football that you're going up against every single day. That said, I'm so glad that the Niners went with Trey Lance, because I do think that physically, look, they already have Mac Jones, the Niners, and his name is Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Yeah. Like there's a similar type of skill set there. Trey Lance is different. Now, what I think is really interesting, and I'm kind of leafing through my notes here, looking for there's like one stat in particular, and it was something to do, God, I wish I could find, like I said, I have a ton of notes.
Was it like, he only threw like one pick or something?
So it was the one interception thing, which to me was really interesting, but taking it a step further, I think it was like the best, the most attempts with a minimum of like 300 attempts. Okay. It was like the best interception to attempt ratio in the last 25 years in Division I football, something along those lines. I'll shoot you a text later, and don't quote me on that, but generally speaking, that's kind of like that level of where he's at. What I find really fascinating about that is people have been talking about his accuracy. That one interception that he threw, by the way, also came in not a great performance as well in the one start that he did have. So I think there's a lot of things that are there, but everyone will tell you, and I agree with this, that Trey Lance is going to have to step into a situation where the speed is vastly different. And I think his athletic ability is superior to some of the other quarterbacks that the Niners could have taken in that conversation. And it's not just the athleticism. There's also the size thing. Now, I don't want to make this into the conversation we were having a little bit earlier, right? Like where he looks the part, but I think we saw it on the football field. So I do think the speed is something that he is going to have to figure out, but that's why I love the fact that he's not getting thrown into the mix like Trevor Lawrence. Like he doesn't have to be the savior in week number 1. And how about this? Whose roster would you rather have? Like if you said to Trevor Lawrence, dude, you get the Niners roster, or you get the Jags roster. Call a spade here, man. Like, he's taken San Francisco's team. So I think that's kind of the other luxury that Trey Lance has when he does get the keys to this car. This is not a crappy team. Like this is a loaded team on both sides of the football where he doesn't necessarily have to be perfect. It'll help if he's not making mistakes and mitigating some of those turnovers, and hopefully that we don't see those things. But to me, it really is remarkable. I feel like I've been rambling on about this, but I think Trey Lance is going to be a terrific quarterback in the NFL, and this is an ideal situation for him.
No, you're not rambling. I think people need to hear it. I need to hear it. I agree with you 110%. Look, ultimately, Trey Lance can come out of this draft as the best quarterback in this draft class when it's all said and done. There's no guarantees at the top of the draft. There's no guarantees with Trevor Lawrence. I have been on record, and I'll say this, and I know, call me crazy. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a bust. Call me crazy. I know it's going to raise some eyebrows. I think he's going to be a bust. I think Zach Wilson's going to be great. I think Mac Jones is going to be good for the system in New England. I think Trey Lance can ultimately come out of this looking like the best quarterback in this entire draft class, because the ceiling of any quarterback in this draft class, he has the highest ceiling. And if you're a quarterback coach like Kyle Shanahan or offensive coordinator like Kyle Shanahan, who knows how to scheme up his players and put them in the best position to make plays, he's not going to compromise Trey Lance's mental aptitude to pick up on offense. He's going to do what he can do in his comfort zone. And the maturation process is going to be based on the stats. He's not going to have him throw, 25, 30 yards deep downfield off a naked bootleg if he's not able to do it and he can't read the defenses first. So I think the sky's the limit for Trey Lance. I think the Niner fans, like you said, should be ecstatic with Trey Lance. Yeah. You talk about Trey Lance. Are you a Niner fan? Or are you not a Niner fan?
No, not a Niner fan. I don't root against them though. I grew up in the Northeast. I was a Giants fan. My family was. So I pull for them, but I think, and you might experience this too. I don't know if you feel this way. Maybe you are a Niners fan because you're from here originally, right?
I was known as a diehard Niner fan before even covering in the NFL media. In fact, I was always in the paper. I was always on the news. Literally, I was always on TV. And my family had front row season tickets to Candlestick since 91. I was that guy that would go crazy. If you guys remember 2011, Jim Harbaugh's first year, they made all these videos. I was always highlighted in these videos. Mercury News picked me up. I was actually on the front page. It's right here in a plaque thing, as being the most diehard Niner fan. Because when Candlestick went down, here's a backstory about myself. The quote that I gave them is, "When Candlestick dies, a part of me will die with it." And,
that's cool, Matt. Very poetic. I like that.
So I actually had to
got that in the frame. Like, that's awesome. Did you think about that, or did that just kind of come out like naturally?
To be honest with you, I know it sounds crazy, but when you're a fan of a team, obviously I'm not a fan of the Niners anymore. I still root for them, but obviously you got to stay objective. So in order for me to do my job, I have to kind of see it from a different lens. But I would literally have not nightmares, but I would literally have these thoughts right before going to bed about, all these memories I shared with my family, with my parents. I mean, we didn't come from much money, but what we did have, we didn't do very many family things. All right. We didn't sit at the dinner table like a traditional family would. But the one thing we did have in common was the tailgates. Like every Sunday, cool. I remember my parents would make, a turkey and ham sandwich with me and my sister. We would make the trip. My grandparents live in San Francisco. So we'd go to the game, 1:00 kickoff, 1:05 kickoff at the time. Go to the game, tailgate, get there 3 or 4 hours. We wouldn't be drinking or anything. My parents don't drink, but we'd be having that family bond time. And that's how my passion for the Niners grew, because at the end of the day, it's more than just football. It's an actual pastime within the family that can be passed down from generation to generation. And so that's why it kind of, like you said, it resonates with me that every time I pass by that freeway, I don't see Candlestick anymore. It's like, it brings back memories. Yeah, it brings back some family memories. Yeah,
it's a cool spot. I'd only seen one game there. It was my first year at Pac-12 Networks. This is probably like 2012. I went to the game with Rick Neuheisel and Glenn Parker. Rick had gotten tickets. It was Niners Lions. And I remember like I was leaving Pac-12 Network and Rick said, like, dude, where's your coat? And it was hot that day. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, oh, trust me, you're going to need. So I brought like a light jacket with me. I was freezing by the end of the game. I learned my lesson at least. But yeah, it's funny, man. Like you drive, down the highway and you're coming back and forth from the airport, which is usually why I'm on that highway. And I look and it does look different. That said, Levi's is obviously a gorgeous facility, and the Niners, they're lucky to have a place like that to go and play. Not everyone can go to a place like that for games.
Yeah, $1 billion stadium. It's a lot of money for that stadium. It's a lot of money for that stadium. There is some talk about that, because when you went to Candlestick, it was a dump. Okay, I'm just gonna say it's a dump, but you know what? It was our dump. Like we liked it, because when you went to Candlestick, that's all you could do. The Wi-Fi was horrible, the weather was horrible, the wind factor was horrible, the chill freeze was horrible. I mean, you're literally on the bay, but it was our dump, and we loved football, so that's what we came to do. At Levi Stadium, there's so many other distractions. I mean, you don't even have to watch the game. You go in the suites. You've been to Levi, you go in the suites. There's so many different things to do these days. It's like, oh, Yahoo Sports Fantasy Football. Let's go ahead and watch that. Oh, there's 20 screens up in the press box. Oh, I play fantasy. Let me go ahead and look at that while they're on a timeout. Literally, I would do these things myself. But technology has changed, and it really transformed how what used to be, the Lambeau Fields, the Soldier Fields, the Candlestick Parks, these iconic stadiums, to now you look at the Dallas Cowboys, what they have, the 49ers, what they have. Everything is just bigger, better, stronger. So it's really interesting how that works out. All right, last but not least, for the questions, of course, Fred Warner, he is due 18 to 20 million per year annually, in my estimation. His dad actually follows me. Is one of Lois' supporters in the BEASTwriter.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so he hops on. He's like, your Fred Warner analysis is spot on. Because I said he deserved this before anyone else would say it, and I'm like, I'm not afraid to say. I'll put it out there. Do you think he's worth 18 to 20 million per year annually? Number one, and ultimately, because of that number, he's going to be due a front-loaded deal, because by my estimations and my grading system, I don't rely on PFF. I have my own grading system. He outplayed Bobby Wagner for the better half of the last 1.5 years. And he was only making, because he was on a rookie deal, less than 1 million. Bobby Wagner was making 18 million. So if you're an agent sitting at the negotiation table, in my estimation, I think the leverage for Fred Warner starts there. I mean, you've been outplaying this guy for, the top of the game, highest paid middle linebacker in the game, over $17 million over the last 2 years. That's $34 million in front-loaded money. That's where the negotiation starts. Do you think that Fred Warner should be the highest paid middle linebacker, number one? And ultimately, do you think that deal will get done?
A, I do think it gets done. And B, I think the Niners probably need to do it sooner rather than later. I do think the numbers, you mentioned Wagner. Like, I think if you just look at that position in general and look at some of the best guys that are there, I'll take it a step further. If I'm not mistaken, you might know this off the top of your head. How old is Fred? Like 24?
Something like that. But what I will say is, in that 2018 draft class, there are 3 or 4 inside linebackers in that same draft class who are due front-loaded money, who aren't even first-round picks. You look at Darius Leonard; he's a third-round pick.
So that's actually one of the names that I would bring up, right? So now, to me, if you look at just the linebacker position in general, obviously Wagner's name is going to come up. And if I'm not mistaken, he is still currently the highest paid, in the NFL. I think the age factor, if I'm not mistaken, Warner, let's just call him 24. I'm pretty sure he's 24. Okay. So if he's there, how old is Bobby? 30? right? So like, I think you look at 31. So like, you look at it just from that perspective. I think you just kind of hammer that point home. I'm glad you brought up that draft, right? So like Darius Leonard, one of those other guys. So last year, while I was working with NFL Network, I was also working with Intel Sports, and we were working on their NFL project. And two of the teams that we followed all season long were the Colts and the Bucks, two really good teams to follow all season long, especially from a Tampa Bay perspective. But so I got to see Darius Leonard a lot last year. That dude is an absolute machine and a monster. And that's why I think the Niners might be better off trying to do something sooner rather than later, because I think both of those guys due for a contract right now. And I would imagine that if, let's say, the Colts give Leonard a larger deal, I think Fred's got a case that his deal needs to be bigger. So I think if you look at it from those terms, I might be more inclined, if I'm San Francisco, to try to get that done sooner rather than later. Like, let you set the market as opposed to letting the Colts set the market, if that makes sense.
Yes. And I said that on earlier. You must be piggybacking on my, you must be watching me before this.
Let's go.
No, we are spot on. And I agree with you 110%. I said this since day one. I said, look, you got to re-sign him now, because ultimately Darius Leonard is going to reset the market, and then now you have to up him.
Yeah.
Aside from Darius Leonard, you have Roquan Smith from the Chicago Bears, right? Who was drafted number 8, just one pick before Mike McGlinchey at number 9. And then you have Tremaine Edmonds from the Buffalo Bills. I mean, these guys had their 5th-year options picked up, but ultimately they're going to reset the market. So if you franchise tag Fred Warner, even then you're just buying time. It's a longer problem. It's almost like an NFL team that, this player restructured their deal, where they're just changing the roster bonus into the form of a signing bonus. You're just prolonging the problem in future years. You can't, at some end of the day, you're going to have to say, you know what, we're just going to have to pony up and pay this guy. But the problem here is, Mike, Nick Bosa is also coming up. Deebo Samuel is also coming up the following year. So what's going to happen? And there's too much dead money tied to Eric Armstead for the team to release him or trade him, because I hate to say it, but no one's going to take on that portion of his contract for a borderline marginal starter who's only good with better surrounded talent around him, like Nick Bosa. Now, if Nick Bosa's healthy, everyone gets to eat. Armstead gets to eat. Javon Kinla's going to have a good year. Yep. So I get it. But if Bosa goes down, it could be 2020 2.0 all over again with the defensive line.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that front. And that's why we talked about this before, right? Like the walking wounded that the San Francisco team was a season ago. You'd have a better handle on it. I just don't know the number off the top of my head. But you're right. You're kicking the can down the road, at least with the Fred Warner situation, if you don't get it done. Yeah. And then we're talking about constantly resetting the market. If you do end up transitioning from Jimmy G at some point, and I don't know enough about the dynamics in terms of contract, but his money, his cap hits, I would imagine fairly large. If I'm guessing, close to 20,
right? $27 million or something like that.
Oh, wow. That's more than I thought it was going to be. So I do think from like a creative standpoint, I think John Lynch is going to have his hands full trying to figure out the pieces to this puzzle, because I do think there's going to be some free money on the back end when you do look down the road. Trey obviously locked up now to a rookie contract. It's helpful. The team owns the rights for one extra year because he was a first round pick. So like things like that work in their favor, but the financial situation right now, at least in the short term, is a difficult puzzle piece to try to put together.
Yeah, you hit it right on the nail, and I agree with you 100%. All right, we're going to wrap up the segment with the BEASTwriter 2-minute drill. I'm going to drill you, bro. So this is your time. You're going to play the role of Joe Montana versus the Cincinnati Bengals. There's John Candy there. So are you ready to do this? It's a game or this or that. Basically, I'm going to ask you a not borderline. I'm going to fire off some questions, and you tell me the first thing off the top of your head, number one, and then why.
Okay.
You ready to do it?
I'm
all right. This is getting to know Mike Yam in the BEASTwriter 2-minute drill. Here we go. Tacos or burgers?
Oh, burgers all day. All day burgers. Yeah, I think that's more of the East Coast in me. Although I'm now hedging, because if you get a good shrimp taco or a little mahi-mahi, can I? No, I'm going to stick burgers, man. Let's throw like the fried egg and the avocado on that. That'll be like the California twist to it. So yeah, I'm going to go burgers on that one.
Okay, I've never been to New York, so New York must have some bomb burgers aside from their New York slice of pizza.
Yeah. Oh, let's do. We want to have the pizza conversation right now because that's going to take more than 2 minutes. I mean, pizza on the East Coast. I mean, Bronx pizza. Come on now. It's like not even.
Is it really? Is it legit?
Oh God! You look. San Francisco's got amazing food, and you know that. You've been here.
Yeah.
The seafood. Like, there's things that they do significantly better here than they do in New York. But I'll say this: a New Jersey bagel. I mean, I'm now at the point where I go to Safeway and I'm getting like, Thomas, what's the English muffin?
Yeah, the English muffin. The English muffin.
Yeah, but like you get the bagel version, and I'm thinking like that's acceptable now. Like I'm like rewired, which is not good. New Jersey bagels better than New York bagels, best in the country. So much more difficult to get good bagels here. Taking it a step further though, New York's got some really good food though.
The pizza's good, right? You said the
pizza's amazing. Pizza's amazing, man. Bronx pizza. Oh God, I miss it.
So is that the name of the place, Bronx Pizza? No.
I'm just talking about like you get pizza in the Bronx in that borough, and it is amazing. So at Fordham, there was like Mike's Pizza. Oh my God. I don't know if you like regular pizza or like Sicilian pizza, but like
I'm part Sicilian according to 23andMe. So
there you go. Let's roll here. So the Sicilian slices at Mike's, it was like a couple blocks from Fordham's campus. I still think about that pizza. It's still amazing. And then there's another place off campus. You get a little slice in it. It was called the Richie Special, right? You get the soda with the slice and the chicken roll. People don't even know what chicken rolls are in the Bay Area.
Is that?
Oh my God. Yeah. Like, no, man, we got. I'm going to send you a picture of a chicken roll. Legit. The best chicken rolls ever.
Oh man, you're making me hungry.
I
have to get my gym workout after this. Now I have to think about Mike Yam's freaking
chicken roll, slice of chicken roll,
chicken roll while I'm hitting squats. Yeah, let's do it, baby. All right, lobster tail or crab?
Lobster tail, just because I know the price point's higher, so I'll go with the lobster. I'll try to sound high end and high class, I think.
All right, dogs or cats?
I got some allergies, so I think if I had to lean though, I'm gonna go with the dogs. Like there's been a couple dogs that I've kind of liked. Sometimes you see them on the street, the labs, they always look so damn friendly to me. So I'll go dogs.
All right, cool. Disney Plus or Netflix?
That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. I'll go Netflix just because there seems to be more of a vast array of shows for me in terms of volume. But Disney Plus, man, I'm 2 episodes into Loki. Better than I thought. Yeah. And what was the one with the Falcon? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. With what's his face? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And that was
Anthony Mackie. Yo, Anthony Mackie's good, man. Like he's legit in that show. I loved it. So Disney Plus, man, is turning out some good stuff. But Netflix overall, they got more inventory. They got more stuff that's more my speed. Queen's Gambit was still probably the best thing I saw all of 2020. So,
I never seen that. Now I gotta check that out.
Oh, you have to. That's worth skipping a workout for.
Is it really?
Oh yeah, it's that good. Yeah.
Okay, I got Queen's Gambit on Netflix.
Yeah, it's amazing.
All right,
where have you been? You're talking too much NFL. Come on, man. Queen's Gambit, get to Netflix.
This is what I do, Mike. I'm serious. I watch game film all the time.
Oh my God.
Watch replay. No, I'm serious. We're gonna sit down one time. We're gonna get coffee. I'm gonna show you everything. I showed John Lynch my freaking draft stuff, and he's like amazed. Like he was like, "Where did you get this?" It's like, dude, it's years. I've been covering the draft since 1999, since I was in high school.
Damn, I got to give you. Hold on.
Yeah.
So when we do coffee, you'll geek out. So this is what the NFL sent me pre-draft, right? So like it's actually like pretty badass. Like I don't know if you can kind of see it in the camera.
I can see it.
So like every player, man, it just like it's crazy. Like dude,
you got that before the draft?
Before the draft, man, they hook you up.
You're lucky.
No kidding, man. I know I am. Jeez. I mean, they did so much work. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, because there's sometimes like we had to do some hits as the rounds go on.
Yeah.
And candidly, like for me, I lucked out, man. Living in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
They basically they said, "Do you want to cover the Niners for the draft?" What am I going to say? No. I was like, "You just gave me the best story in the draft." Like in my mind, I don't know if people would agree with me, but like I thought the Niners were the best story in the draft. And the new guy, that's me. They're like, "Hey, do you want to go and do it?" So thank God I didn't So I don't think I effed it up, but like, thank God I wasn't like catastrophically bad. But it's funny because I spent so much time in research talking to guys like Jeff Garcia and Matt Leinart and Ronnie, John Beck. You mentioned quarterback coaches, right? So he had Trey Lance, pre-draft at his quarterback facility. So as the rounds go on and we're still expected to do hits, like I was hoping there'd be some other Pac-12 guys because I had reached out to kind of like my Pac-12 community.
Yeah.
And the Niners, were in on, I thought, like, for example, like Elijah Molden, like I thought he was going to be a Niner. I was pretty sure that was the case. Yeah, I thought he'd be a great fit. And Alex Molden, who's Elijah's dad, like I got to know over the years, and Elijah a little bit. So I was kind of hoping that would be the case. That didn't happen. So the Niners end up drafting some guys I don't know. So cheat sheet right here, ready to rock and roll. But when we do coffee, I'll bring this. Yeah,
coffee. We could do lunch. Doesn't matter. Let's do it, man. I'm down. All right, let's continue on. I know you're short on time, so let's go ahead and go to the next one. Apple or Android?
Come on. Apple. What is this? Amateur hour? Come on.
No. Everyone's Apple. I'm Apple too.
I know. You kind of have to. I don't know. I guess you don't have to be, but
yes, you do. Everything's Apple these days.
Yeah.
You go to, like I said, you go to Levi Stadium, everything's compatible for Apple.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's cheaper. And it's cheaper because everyone has Apple, and you're going to want to use it because, again, you can plug it into anything. Once you have one Apple product,
you're hooked. They got you. And then you can kind of connect everything. Yep. I know. That said, I'm like due for a new MacBook, which I'm pissed about because my battery, like this thing is plugged in right now. My battery keeps dying on me. It's annoying. Anyway, no one needs to know about that.
I need a new MacBook too. Are you getting a MacBook Air or MacBook Pro?
So I'm an Air. I'm 2 MacBook Airs in 2014, 2017. What? This guy is like messing me up because of the battery. So I'm waiting. I'm like keeping my fingers crossed. They keep saying like the one that's going to come out later this year will be like a redone version. Okay. So I know they got good deals on like the ones that are out there now, but I'm kind of hedging. I'm like, do you, if I'm going to spend the cash, I want to get like the new cool thing. So
freaking Mike, I want the newest thing, dude. So you can go into work. Hey, got a shiny new laptop.
And go to work, right? Like, what's work? Like right here. Like this is where work is.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Wait, don't you guys go in the office pretty soon at some point?
Dude, I've never even been to the office. What? Studios are down in LA, and because of the COVID situation, I haven't even been allowed to go down there. So I that's like the hardest part about this new job, man. Like I don't get to meet people. So, when I work, I'm here and like we do a lot of stuff virtually. So like I call our producers and I do the whole deal just to kind of get to know some people down there. So it's been even from that perspective, man, it's been a little on the tougher side.
Yeah, I bet. All right. So let's continue. Julio Jones or Calvin Johnson?
Come on. You take one, I'll take the other.
Pick one.
I'll take Calvin. I'll take Calvin.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good
especially
one.
Especially like right now, like Calvin. So.
Yeah, exactly. Tom Brady or Joe Montana?
Know your audience, right? I know you probably got a lot of Bay Area.
Well, no, I said Tom Brady, and people don't like me for that, but I keep it. Hey, you can't go wrong with Tom Brady, bro.
Yeah, look, like your previous question, right? Like you take one, I'll take the other. The Super Bowl, I mean, that's hard, man. That's a real that's kind of the GOAT from that perspective.
Yeah.
Now, Joe, I have a lot of respect for Ronnie Lott. And I'm fortunate enough where I can call him a friend, and we've worked together for a bunch of years. Like Ronnie still says Joe's the best and the greatest of all time. So there's a part of me that still wants to stick with him. It's hard too in terms of eras, although I think him leaving, I don't know if you feel this way, him leaving New England and then winning with Tampa Bay almost puts him like, like if it was close, like that's, if you want another one with New England last year, let's just say he didn't leave, you'd say, oh, okay. But the fact that he did it with another team, that's
a game changer. Come on. It's a game changer, bro. Yeah. I agree with you 110%. Ultimately, we had some former players come on the show who played with Joe Montana, and they also agree with Ronnie Lott. Obviously, they have Joe Montana back, but they made a good point. And they said, hey, Beast, you may say Tom Brady, but he was playing, like you said, in a different era. Yeah. Under the circumstances when we played in, Tom Brady wouldn't have lasted that long to even be in those Super Bowls. Because you could take someone's head off. Ronnie Lott would be out of the league if he did what he did. Yeah. Right? And people love violence. Like, I love violence. I hate to say it, but this, truth be told, you go on YouTube, what gets the most NFL views? hits, hard hits. When you go on NFL Network and then report on a guy like Vontae's Burfict or someone and you see this mean hit, you know how much traffic that pulls in.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Not saying it's right, because it's wrong in today's NFL by today's NFL standards, but dating back to what Ronnie Lott did, he took people's heads off and people were applauding him for that.
Yeah, it's a different deal. And like, especially too, because we're in the middle of the NBA playoffs, right? So like the NBA now versus what the NBA used to be when we were growing up, it's like two different games. Although when you brought up YouTube and most popular, I thought you were going to say like cat videos or people opening up like presents. I think I heard that's a thing.
That is unboxing. It's called unboxing.
Yeah, unboxing. So, maybe it's just the NFL circle that likes the violence and everyone else prefers things that we would not be watching normally.
Yeah. That's interesting. YouTube unboxing is like the hardest thing right now. All right. Last but not least, Starbucks or Peet's Coffee?
Starbucks.
Really?
It just look. Am I the only one that's like a little bit of a points whore with Starbucks?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
you're Starbucks. We can't be friends.
Look, pizza's fine, but like think about this. You know the amount of like free stuff that I get from Starbucks because of the point system that they use. So I just think that like the mobile ordering, like I'm a huge fan of that. The accessibility aspect of it. I'm Starbucks. Although honestly, man, like I'm looking at my cold brew kind of like machine thingamajiggy that I use to make it. Yep. Like I do my own deal. But I'm telling you, man, not to bring this back, we'll go full circle because I brought up coffee at the start of this deal. Kai Coffee.
There you go.
I'm telling you, it was and I don't even like drink you. I know you probably never even have sugar anymore because of all like the lifting that you do. But
bro, I eat bad. Like I'm bad. Like I eat donuts. I eat Halo Top ice cream.
How the hell do you look like that?
I eat Rice Krispie treats with. Ask the people on here, dude. I literally for the NFL draft. You know what I was doing? Before every right pick that I got, every prediction that I got right, I would hold a dumbbell in one and then eat pizza on the other. That was the bet because I was like, I'm not gonna get all these right. I got tired after 10 picks, bro. And then people were like, dang, man. I was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. But literally, I will be on the show. Like I said, it's very casual. If I'm hungry because I have to get my gains in, I will dip almond butter. I will go to Costco. I got almond butter. I dip a Rice Krispie treat in the almond butter, and that's my pre-workout. I'm not joking. I'm being 100%. I will show you text messages from people on the show, and it actually works. You will actually not get fat based on your body type. We could talk about that later, but yeah, nutrition plays a role in exactly everything. So I know. How do I look like this? I don't know, dude. Beast, dude. Bro.
I'm sitting here like, am I the only one? You might not do this, but maybe just listening to you say this. So like trail mix, right? In like 3 days, there'll be nothing but peanuts in this thing, and all the chocolate will be gone. The other day, it's over there. So it's like basically an empty one of these, and it was like jackpot. I like reached in, and there was one M&M left that I thought there was none left, and like the peanuts are still in the deal. Like it would just be wiser and more financially sound to just go and get M&Ms. But here it is, man, trail mix, and dip into that every once in a while.
All right, last question because I got to ask you this. I always do this. Waffles or pancakes?
Can I say it depends on the type of pancake?
Why does literally, this is like 6 for 6 on people who said that.
Oh, it makes a difference, man. So I would say generally waffles, but I'll throw this your way. So if you're going to go like with the chocolate chip pancakes like that, I might lean that way.
Okay.
Have you ever had mochi pancakes?
Bro, I'm part Japanese, yes.
So you have, right? Like,
it's good.
Dude, people don't know. I don't think people know. Can you get those in San Francisco?
No, not that I know of. They have that green tea crave going on in Chinatown, in Japantown. Have you been there? In Japan, but green tea. Yeah, but I don't think that matcha stuff. But I don't think you can get that. Guy.
Yeah.
Here's something. So you want to talk about your, Kai Coffee? Have you ever tried mochi moto donuts from Hawaii?
No.
I'm gonna pick you up some. Anyways, they're friends of mine. They were based in Hawaii. They came over here. They just opened a place up kind of near Santa Clara. And it's basically it's called Moto Hawaii. You can look it up, MODO Hawaii, and it's like mochi donuts. And like it's like a place. So I'll bring some. We'll go ahead and get our gains in, and then maybe we can talk football and food gains.
Done and done, man. Done and done.
thank you so much for hopping on the show.
Man, it was a blast, man. I can't thank you enough for the
bro.
time, and appreciate all the folks that were chiming in. It's so cool to see. So I was watching some of those messages come in as they were kind of streaming. So appreciate people even being engaged enough in our conversation to kind of chime in with some of their comments. But seriously, man, look, continued success to you. It's awesome to be with you. Awesome to see someone that looks like you covering the NFL and obviously has a platform like you do. I mean, you and I, for people who don't know, I don't know, you should probably even talk about this, do maybe like a solo show. But I think what you've been able to accomplish, man, is so awesome because you've built an audience, and that's not easy to do, and clearly an engaged audience. So well done, man, because that's not hard. Obviously, you know, we follow each other on social media and the whole deal, but it's awesome to see some of the stuff that you're putting together. Yeah,
thank you so much, Mike. And again, I wouldn't be here with people like you, or few people like you who are Asian American, because literally, I feel like it's kind of like a mirror image of each other in the sense where I can
not really. I mean, I'll take the hair, but you got the guns, man. So, you know, it's once again, some of the similarities outside of that might die down, but I hear you.
We will have to get a workout in as well, dude. I'm going to get you on a workout program, bro. I got you covered. So if you do boot camp, you can definitely handle my workout program. I'm going to send you a workout program and let me know. Yeah, weights at home? Do you go to?
No, man. No, seriously. Barry's boot camp is like my church. Okay. That is like my mental outlet.
Look, you got free sponsorship, Barry's boot camp. You better tell him, like, dude, that's like free publicity.
I know. I should probably be asking him for a little. I know. They're probably like, what? Like you go to our gym. So no, seriously, man. But like I'm down. It's my mental outlet for sure. So I love doing it for sure. But like I said, man, we got to get together at some point. Coffee, donuts, mochi, the whole thing.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you so much. And again, that is Mike Yam. If you want to follow him, where can they find you on social media?
Yeah. Twitter at Mike_Yam, Instagram at Mike_Yam. So the same handle on that side of things. And then Facebook, just Mike Yam. So,
all right. Thank you so much, Mike, for tuning in. And hopefully you'll be back on our show sometime in the near future.
Absolutely, man. Anytime.
All right. Mahalo, my man.
Take care.
All right. That was my man, Mike Yam from NFL Network. Those were good times here in the BEASTwriter family. Again, I am going to be coming back on another live stream after my workout. You guys know I have to get my workout in gains. I have to get some work in. Big news. As I was on this live stream, we have another special guest coming on the show. And that will be Randy Mueller, former NFL GM of the New Orleans Saints, Executive of the Year back in 2000. He's going to be hopping on the show here in the BEASTwriter family. He's excited. I'm excited. And what time is it? It's going to be 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Wednesday. Tomorrow, we have Randy Cross hopping on the live stream tomorrow. We are working on a few others. So we're getting more people involved here in the BEASTwriter family. You guys asked for it. So anytime there's downtime, be sure to check out our community page up on YouTube so that you guys can stay up to date on all things Beast in real time. We obviously had Michael Rothstein on earlier, so he was on the show where there's a lot of legwork on the back end that I'm doing, trying to work relationships. Again, you know, we talked about it with Mike Yam earlier today. We talked about it with Michael Rothstein earlier. It's all about being a people business as much as the NFL is a risk reward business. It's all about networking. And I think that holds true in any business that you're in or any industry that you're in. As long as you build a strong foundation of relationships that people can trust, and go ahead and use that network, because at the end of the day, the best thing they can say is no. You might as well go ahead and put yourself out there. And again, more times than not, people want to pay it forward. And here in the BEASTwriter family, that's what I like to do. And again, karma is always going to come back in the end. Good vibes only here in the BEASTwriter family. 49ers Ultra Report, thank you so much for the super chat. People are asking how you guys can support the work. Some of you guys don't have YouTube accounts. You guys just watch it. So I didn't know that. I thought you guys were subscribers. But it's okay if you don't have a YouTube account. But you guys are wondering how you can support the channel. I did put up my Venmo information on the YouTube channel. So it's also in the description box below. So you guys can go ahead. If you guys have Venmo, you guys can send me a super chat or support the work that way. If you guys don't have a YouTube account. And this is what 49ers Ultimate Report says as he asks, "Up Beast, can't call in for a while just to return to work. Just wanted to stop for a moment and say, great shame. I'll rewatch the interview later. Thank you so much, 49ers Ultimate Report. You've been awesome." And again, follow my man, 49ers Ultimate Report. He is doing a good job over there. So if you like his work, he comes on John Jay. You want to support him, go ahead and do so. Monica is one of our newest subscribers, and she is in here killing it with the social media engagement. I love what Monica provides. You know how Monica knows everything about the BEASTwriter family? Because she watches every video. Like, she will tell me straight up, like in this live stream, yo, you didn't ask the pancakes and waffles question. How come? And so she really is like, I want to know. So I was like, okay, Monica, you're right. I'm going to ask that question because you asked for it. And again, I got to give what you guys want. She says, you're killing it. 704 Charlotte Bound, point of view, positive vibes only. Yes, that's it. And let me look at 704 Charlotte Bound. You had sent me, I know I'm going back here in the archives here, in the dirty archives here, but you had sent me your draft analysis, and I want to get to that. Again, if you guys want to send me an email, please be sure to do so. I don't know why some people have a membership channel giving away their email and saying that's a perk. Like, I don't see how that's a perk. Like, I don't know. My email's public and it's there for a reason so I can engage with you guys. 704 Charlotte Bound. He put up his mock draft. He had Trevor Lawrence 1, Zach Wilson 2, Trey Lance 3. So he hit it on the nail. Keep pounding _TV is doing a great job here. That's 704 Charlotte Bound. Falcons trade with Pats, take Justin Fields. Bengals get Jamar Chase. Miami gets Penei Sewell. Lions get Kyle Pitts. Carolina Panthers get Patrick Surtain. Denver gets Mac Jones. And he said Dallas Cowboys get J.C. Horn. I liked those picks. Ultimately, it didn't end up that way. Mine was a little bit different, but not too far off. Good job on those draft picks. Really know your stuff. 704 Charlotte Ballot. You are killing it. All right. So now we have another collab coming through on my email as I look for BEASTwriterNFL@gmail.com. So we have Randy Mueller coming on the show on Wednesday at 10:30 p.m. We have, who else do we have coming in here? We have Randy Cross in tomorrow. If you guys don't know who Randy Cross is, he was one of the best 49ers offensive linemen ever, 3-time Super Bowl winning champion, 4-time first or second team All-Pro. He was the protector up front for Joe Montana. He's going to be hopping on the show, and Randy Cross is going to be fun times. Worked at CBS Sports Radio as an analyst shortly thereafter. And you guys know the story behind Randy. You guys know Randy Cross. If you guys don't know Randy Cross, look him up, man. Randy Cross is number 51, baller. He's up there on Twitter, does everything the right way. Monica Canamis says, haha, thanks, Ryan. Yes, you put me on the spot, Monica, and I love it. Right on 704. Yeah, 704 Charlotte Bound really knows his stuff. He says, yes, I did, so you can see what I was thinking. Yeah, I know what you're thinking, bro, and you had some great insight. Again, send me more emails, man. Like, I like just interacting. Or if not, send me an email. Better yet, just go to the YouTube channel because that will help the algorithm. Just leave your comments there or your questions there or your analysis there, and I'll be sure to collab with you that way as well. So, again, that was really interesting that I saw that because I was looking at it and I was like, man, 704 Charlotte Bound is the real deal. You also sent me an email said, and I knew Pitts was going to Falcons. I just tied that to a trade in the draft for fun. I like it. I like draft day trades or potential draft day trades. Obviously that didn't happen, but I like doing stuff for fun as well. Arun Singh says, dang, missed the show. It's all good, Arun Singh, because this is live, but you can always watch it. It's not like it disappears like on Instagram where, you see a message and it goes away. It's not how we do it here. It's up there forever. 704 Charlotte Bound says, check out Never Scared Sportscast here on YouTube. We talk my Panthers and other sports. I need to collab with them then. They should be on my show. I should be on their show so we can collab. That way we can build up the BEASTwriter Family channel, home of the good vibes only. In fact, we are working with a few Carolina Panthers YouTubers and collabing with them. We're obviously working with some Indianapolis Colts collabers and working with them as well, content creators, whatever the case, whatever you want to call it. Atlanta Falcons just hit me up today, so we're going to be working with them. A lot of big things here in the BEASTwriter Family. And again, you guys wanted these guests. You guys wanted the quality over the quantity. That's what we strive here in the BEASTwriter Family. Limited supply, high demand. You guys get the picture. We are not slowing down. We are only picking up steam. And again, Randy Miller at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Wednesday. We have Randy Cross tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Same time, same place tomorrow for Taco Tuesdays. All right. So with that being said, Aran Singh has a question. Are Niners going to sign anyone to replace Jordan Willis? I don't think so. I don't think so. And if they do, it's going to be a camp body. Monica says, my guy, check the art out. I want to send one your way. Oh, that's right. I forgot, Monica, to check out that art gallery. Give me the name again of that name. Actually, send me a message or not email me. Well, you can email me. I don't care. Email me or on the community page, leave a comment of where to check that out again. I'll go ahead and look at that art and we'll definitely pick one up. Thank you so much. And mahalo for the love and support. Appreciate it. 704 Charlotte Bound says, that's me and my friend's show. We're just getting started. Well, you're getting started and you're going to go to the top because at the end of the day, if you have that hustle and grind ingrained in your body and in your DNA, you will be successful. Ultimately, it just takes obviously a learning curve, but that will come with time. I think you will do well. So 704 Charlotte Bound, follow 704 Charlotte Bound. You guys know who he is in the BEASTwriter family, all about the good vibes only. He brings good vibes only, and he's a Carolina Panthers fan. I would say a dedicated Carolina Panthers fan and a dedicated fan in the BEASTwriter family. So again, show your love and support for other BEASTwriter family members and follow my man 704 Charlotte Bound. All right. Well, that'll be it for today. I got to hit the gym. It's 4:15 p.m. It's going to be crowded as heck. I hate it. I was going to hit squat racks today. Now I'm going to have to think about chicken wraps or chicken rolls or whatever Mike Yam was talking about. I got hungry. I'm hungry now. I want to eat something, but I can't. So I got to hit the gym first because otherwise it's going to mess up with my digestion system. And then I'm going to be bloated at the gym. I can't get my workout in. There's a lot of different things that go into my pre-workout meal. So with that being said, I'm going to eat something at 4:15 p.m. You guys wanted some more workout videos. I'm going to try to post some workout videos, but, you know, there's some people in the background that kind of like, oh, my gosh, you got all weirded out as if I'm taking a picture of them. I'm not taking a picture of them. Actually, I'm not the one taking the picture anyways because there's people shooting me, not the other way around. But they do get weirded out, so I have to make sure I kind of do it in the corner, kind of like putting myself on timeout. I should shoot a live video of this. It's really interesting to see the reactions of people when they look at me push the weight that I do, and then they're looking at me as if like I'm doing something wrong or like I'm doing something crazy or I'm both. You know, I should do that. People are like, dude, you should post those videos up because they get a lot of hits on TikTok. I'm like, we'll see about that. But anyways, all right, guys. Like I said, got to hit the gym. 704 Charlotte Bound says, all right, Beast, get that workout in. 704 Charlotte Bound says, thank you, Monica. She says, he about to get beastly. That's right. I'm about to unleash this beast here in the BEASTwriter family. Thank you so much for Mahalo Mondays. We just did 2 live streams. I am stoked. We are going to the top, and we are not stopping for anyone because at the end of the day, it's all about home of the good vibes only where social media engagement is encouraged. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good day. Mahalo Monday, I should say. BEASTwriter out.